good afternoon, and welcome. Welcome indeed, yes, to a Thursday edition of the Mark Moses Show as we're broadcasting live from the Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Take back control of your life. Call them today, 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. That's right, it's Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. All right, I'm going to be off next week. I'm going to take one more week off. Then we're going to rock and roll football from about the week before Labor Day all the way to Christmas and probably into the Super Bowl. So here's what we're going to do today. We've had great conversations over the last couple of weeks talking some high school football with different coaches here in Brevard County. I want to play some of those for you in case you missed it. We're going to go around the horn. So what we'll do first is let's go to Melbourne High School and talk with, this is a great conversation, the new head football coach, Jeff Pannucci. Let's hear his thoughts on his career, his life, and what he wants to do to help Melbourne football this fall. Here's Jeff here on the Mark Moses Show. Mark Moses Show to preview a new season of Melbourne High School football as the new head football coach, Jeff Pannucci. And we got much to discuss. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm good, Mark. How you doing, man?
I'm doing just fine. I know you must be tired. You guys started yesterday. Let's start there. Before we get into you, we'll just get right to it. It's 100 billion degrees outside. You guys have started camp. Are you excited camp is back?
Oh, we're beyond excited. But on that 100 degrees thing, see, we go at 6 a.m. So we're from 6 to 8. We're done. We're wrapping up around 8:15. So we're not seeing those unbelievably high temperatures that everyone else is seeing right now, which, with all the rules in place, you can only practice with your helmet for so long. And, we're not seeing it's still hot, though. Don't get me wrong. Our water cooler was completely melted by about 7:15 yesterday morning, but we're getting in pretty early. So,
all right. What time does the head coach have to get up for 6 a.m. practices then?
Have to get up versus when I get up. I honestly get up at 3:30 a.m. every morning. And I get here around 4, or right around 4:05, and just start setting things up from the scoreboard to, whatever it may be, making sure everything's ready to go. But I'm a little bit, I guess, OCD, you could say. So I just like to be prepared, especially, first year on the job. I don't want to look dumb. So
how long does that go for, the 6 a.m. practices leading up to the new season then?
So the first 2 weeks with acclimation period, and obviously we're before school right now. First 2 weeks will be Monday through Friday. We might dial a little bit back towards the end of the week. And then once we start game weeks, we will go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursdays are usually walkthroughs. They're not near, and sometimes we push them back. We haven't really discussed whether or not we're going to move that start time back on Thursdays. And then Fridays, they don't have to be here until, for pep rallies or whatever maybe, but they don't have to wake up at, 5 a.m. So it's really, during the season, it's Monday through Wednesday.
All right. So, Jeff, the question is then, you had spring practice, then there's this off-season period. What did you tell your players to get them ready for yesterday morning at 6 a.m., that first practice?
Well, honestly, I didn't have to say much. We started off-season workouts. Now, granted, this is year 2 of the process, and a lot of these kids are returners, so this isn't unusual. And then we do our workouts at 7 a.m. This year we moved it back to 7:30 so I could drop off my kids if needed be. But they're already kind of conditioned, so there wasn't much to say other than the fact, if you don't show up, you don't play. So and we did that in the spring game. We let them know, you miss practices and things of that nature. But in all honesty, these kids have bought in. They like it because they have lives now after school. They can do things. They can study. They can have jobs. They can go be high school kids. They can do whatever you want to do after school. And football is not the only sole priority. So it's been we haven't had a ton of issues at all. So.
You and me talked in the spring when you got the job, and again, congratulations. I know you've been part of this program a long time. You actually went to the school, and by the way, I'm just gonna say it's really funny. If you go to the Melbourne website, the official site, it has like this bio of you. I don't know if it's 100% true. I look at Wikipedia, but it says your 2 children will be future Bulldogs.
If all holds true, it's probably likely. I literally, I played here in 2003 from 2007. My brother actually played the 4 years prior, and I was here watching him play. So as a kid, growing up, I was already here. I graduated from UCF in 2010. So, it was only like a 3.5 year span where I wasn't. But actually, in 2010, my last year of college, I was already here coaching under Todd Wilson, and I have not left since 2010. So, all those years together, man, I literally feel like I've been here since the late 90s. So it's yeah, I mean, this has consumed my whole life for a long period of time. As Alan likes to say, I bleed green, I guess. But yeah, I mean, my kids, 100%. I mean, because there's not a better school in this county, and I'm not talking about sports. I'm just talking about school in general than Melbourne High School. So I would love for my kids to eventually come here.
Well, you've been with this coaching staff, like you said, for years and years and years. And last year, defensive coordinator, what did it mean to you then when you got the call? Hey, we want you to be the head football coach here.
Well, it's after 16 years, it's been kind of like an ongoing joke. When are you ever going to get the job amongst all my friends? And I've been asked that question a couple of times, like what it means. And I don't, I'm not lying when I tell you, like, I haven't had those opportunities to sit back and kind of, think about how cool it is to be coaching at the school that you went to, you grew up at, you coached at, you played at. Like, I have moments where I have an opportunity every once in a while. Like today, actually, Martin Cagney, who is our historian, so all those cool things you guys see on the internet about stats and years, and he's got all this stuff from the time he started in 1988 at Mel High. That's when I was born. So I mean, he was there today after practice, and like in that moment, I was able to sit back, like, man, this is really really cool. These are the people that have laid down a foundation of history and tradition that is unbelievable and it's unmatched. And being able to kind of I guess you could say live out a dream right now is it's cool. I know I'll have more time to reflect maybe in downtime, but I mean I'm not lying when I tell you my focus has solely been on trying to get this senior class. I mean, I love these kids a lot. They have been through more than a lot of people have ever experienced in the last 4 years. I've just really been trying to focus on how I can make this experience for those kids, similar to one that I had, an experience of high school football that they'll remember for the rest of their lives. So I've been really geared up for that, trying to get these kids to, their last time, their last go around, and making sure that they have the experience, of a lifetime.
Is that if I'm trying to do the translating here, let's go win football games. And is that what you're trying to say?
Well, it's funny you say that because I was just talking to one of them the other day where we actually had a car ride up to Media Day in Orlando, the 8 or 9 of us, and they talked about 2 years ago. We went 2-8, and we all keep saying the same thing for that. We had more fun in that 2-8 season. They were all sophomores. You had kids, a lot of really good football players transferred away, and they were asked to play football when they weren't ready. And there was no crazy expectations, but we had to coach our tails off with a bunch of young pups not ready to play. And those kids had it was a hell of a time, and it wasn't about winning games. And obviously, like, everyone knows that's the goal, you want to win. But I think one thing I have learned over the course of time, especially being at Mel High, because we've gone up, I've been part of 1-9 seasons, 2-8 seasons, 2 back-to-back district championships. It's not really solely about winning. It's really about competing, learning how to respond in competition when you lose, adversity, all those cliches we throw around. If it was solely about winning, why the hell do we keep coming and play the sport that we lose at all the time? So it's like, we focus on competition because these kids love competition. So, it really hasn't been much about that. These kids know that they want to win. Obviously that's why we do it, but they just love to compete. They love being here at this school. It means something to them, which I think that's why, I focus so much on them, because I feel, that connection to how important this school is to them. So, it's just, yeah, winning, great. Yes, awesome. But it's like, just trying to make sure that these kids really genuinely enjoy that time and that experience, because high school football, you only get one shot, and it's the most pure form of left. I mean, especially with all the NIL stuff going on, it's the last pure form of football left, where it's beautiful and it's fun, and the experiences with your friends growing up as a high school kid, you only get one shot at that, and we're just trying to make sure that that's the experience, that it's a good one for them.
We're with Pannucci, head football coach here at Melbourne High School. They started camp this week. Yeah, I look. I have many questions, but at the same time, I feel bad. I know you're tired. All right,
it's all right, man. It's all right. I promise you, when I go home, I'm going to take a nap. I know most people can't do that in the middle of the day, but that's somewhat of a perk of being a teacher, I guess.
All right. Well, I was going to ask you that. You talk about being a student athlete, then athlete. I know these guys are playing football. School is going to start up. How important is it for these players of yours to go to class and make sure they graduate at the same time?
Well, I mean, it's by far and away the most important thing. It's the only thing that matters. We say this all the time, and I've been telling them, football is easy, man. Football takes care of itself. If you're going to play college football, that will take care of itself. You either got it or you don't, and you're not really overlooked anymore. But if you don't have the GPA, if you don't have the education, football runs out. It expires for almost every single person that ever played the game. What are you when that goes away? Are you a good husband? Are you a good father? Are you a productive member of society? Can you survive out there in the real world that is tough? And without that education, I mean, it means nothing. And at this school, and I mean, I would be lying to you if we're an A school, and when at Mark, we have to be in a school with 2,300 kids at that school, especially at Melbourne High School. That's top notch. It's hard. I mean, these teachers are some of the best there are. This staff is as good as it gets, and that's all we really focus on. I mean, football again, it's easy. These kids want to wake up at the crack of dawn and come play because they want to compete. But going to school, doing that homework assignment that you really just don't want to do, and especially when you're not good at it. We're not all good in every subject. If you're not good at something, you don't always want to do it. So education is by far and away the most important thing at this school. I know a lot of other schools like to hype up all their little scholarship offers and everything else that they talk about, but you're forgetting about the things that genuinely matter and going to carry a kid through the rest of their life, and that's the stuff we focus on, because it's not like we're not have kids go and play college football, because I promise you we do. But we got a lot of kids graduating with 4.3s, and they're dual enrolled, and they've got their AA degree, and I got for kids that we've coached that are doctors, and it's a special place to be at, and not a lot of people understand that unless you've experienced this school. So yeah, I mean, we education, it's the first thing we talk about. No GPA, no football. And the freshmen, I wish there was something we could do as just a county in general to get these freshmen to understand how important that first year is, because the GPA sticks with you now. And that's
Yeah.
something we've been, really trying to fix, because it's hard. A ninth grade kid, they come in here, they're still a little weird because they're 14 years old. They like to do weird things, but what they start off with, it's hard, because if they struggle and they can't manage their time properly, that GPA can be something they're fighting for the rest of their time here. But yeah, to answer your original question,
Oh, no,
education, it means everything here. So.
all right. What classes do you teach? What do you got?
I am solely now a Hope teacher. I taught math here for 10 years. I did algebra and liberal arts for a long time. I miss that. I really do. However, the last 4 years, I think it is, I've been doing Hope, which is like the health and PE kind of phase together. So I still get to be in the classroom at least twice a week, and, have my little, teaching spiels.
Well, that's cool, dude. You get to
Yeah.
do that. Yeah. So you have a busy schedule. You really do. You're running around, aren't you? That's what it
Ah,
is.
yeah, but I don't mind that. That's not something I complain about. I'm not good at being complacent, sitting still, and not doing something. I prefer something to do, to be honest with you. So yeah, I mean, I'm busy. I got a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old at home, Giovanni and Luca, and they keep me busy too. Actually, the best part about this whole morning thing is when we're done and we don't have football after school, especially Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I get to go be a little league coach for my son Gio, and go watch my son Luca play t-ball. So it's opened up a whole new avenue of things that we didn't get to experience my first like 13, 14 years of coaching.
That is very nice. It is. Okay. Can high school students, can they, I'm trying to say this without laughing. Can they function without cell phones in their hand? Is
No,
that possible?
no, no, no.
Can we, can adults handle not having a cell phone? I don't know either.
I mean, I don't. I mean, at times I don't think we can, but I will tell you there are times that like my phone's just I put it away, and it's beautiful. It really is beautiful. I wish I would do it more. My wife tries to get me to do it more, but no, they can't. No, they cannot. The cell phones are it's brutal. It really is. I feel for them, because they need that instant gratification. They need to know now. They have to have
Yes.
so yeah, I mean, it's anything to put a picture of themselves in new uniforms on the Instagram. It's definitely bad.
I won't lie to you. I'm 43. When I was in college, we didn't have cell phones. So it was one of these moments, coach, where it's like, hey, meet me at this cafeteria at 1:30.
Yeah,
You
I don't even. I'm 30, 36, going on 37. I had a phone. I think my end of my ninth grade year, but it didn't nearly. There was no like. I don't even think cameras were a thing. I just remember
know,
like playing some snake game on the phone or something. Nokia. I don't. I don't know what it was, but we still survived for a while. But it's a different time, man.
That is Jeff Pannucci. Great guy, the head football coach there at Melbourne High School. Good luck on the new season, coach. And he needs to do stand-up comedy when he's done with football. That was a great conversation. Let's continue it. Yes, you're on the Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Take back control of your life. Call them today, 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. We also got a chance to talk to Mr. Chris Sands, head football coach there at Gallie. Should we hear it? Let's hear Coach Sands right now here on the Mark Moses Show. Moses Show to preview a new season of high school football. We are now joined by one of the best in the business here on the coast. He is head football coach Chris Sands at Gallie High School. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Just trying to beat this heat, but everything's going good and smooth, and we're excited for today's practice.
Did you at least get some vacation this summer before we get back to the grind?
Man, I got 3 young kids. It's never a vacation. So, we say it all the time. Every day is a vacation for football coaches because, we get to do what we love. But a true vacation, no. The answer is no.
What was it like Sunday night when you're probably at home with the family? Like, all right, I get my guys back on the football field. We're going to start practicing.
I don't know if I might feel that inside, but I try not to show it too much because obviously we take a lot of time away from our family. That's the hard part of being a high school coach is, you take a lot of time away from your own family. But Sunday night was, like I said, I've been doing this a long time now. I've been a head coach for a long time. So the feeling's still the same. I know when the feeling goes away, it's time for me to kind of hang it up. But I still have the feeling to, impact these young kids and, have an opportunity to compete at everything we do. We are excited, obviously, for practice to start. But us as coaches, it is hard on, the family in general, but we're definitely excited as coaches.
Well, you guys started yesterday. I know you're going to be practicing this afternoon in this heat. And the weather guy said 110 with the heat index. What are you guys doing out there to make sure everyone's going to be okay in the seat?
Yeah, I mean, we have policies that are in place via the FHSAA, different type of procedures that we have to get done for us to be able to practice. So obviously all those are in place. But the biggest part is, we've been working all summer to get to this point to be able to practice in the heat. Obviously, the water and the, tents and all that stuff, for the help the kids. But at the end of the day, we have to follow those policies via the FHSAA to, make sure we're able to practice.
Did you tell your players, hey, guess what? End of July, I'm your coach again. You better be ready for fall camp.
Nah, I'm not much of a dictator like that. We got a great staff around us that, we're just a group of guys that love the game and love helping kids. So there is no, I'm your guy or anything like that. Obviously these guys know they can come to me about anything, but they understand that, our expectations are high and, we should be kind of in that mode from day one, whether it's the start of fall camp or the start of summer or, the off season or baseball season or, whatever they're doing. We should be in the same mindset, to be able to compete in everything we do.
You got to a region final last year. I know you think about it.
We won the regional final. We got to the
sorry. I apologize with Chris Sands. I said the wrong term there. I'm getting ready for the new season as well with the terminology. All right. You were one step away, like one step. I know you guys had an amazing season. Do you keep thinking about that or do you move on for a fresh start this year?
I think you gotta, it's natural to think about it. But at the end of the day, we use it as motivation. We don't want to be one step away. We don't want to be in the Final Four. We don't want to, have the best record in school history. We don't want it. We want to win it all. And that's the goal. In every game we go into, we want to be prepared to win. And that's kind of why we scheduled the schedule we have this year. People think we're crazy for having the schedule we have, but we have to find a way to beat those Miami teams at the very end so we can win a state championship. So again, we do use it as motivation. Obviously, last season is last season. But at the end of the day, we're trying to prepare ourselves to compete at the highest level to be able to play deep into December.
When you take last year and what you just said, what you accomplished, what does your football team need to do on the field and maybe off the field to get to that next level and beat some of those teams?
Well, I think, like I said, us as coaches, we did as best we could to put these kids in some adverse situations. So when we get deep into the playoffs, they've seen it all. And with the caliber teams we play against, I mean, we are really playing the toughest classification in the country. I mean, 3A Florida is brutal, and so we can't go into every playoff game and running clock teams and stuff like that because we're playing the best of the best. So again, we had to figure out a way to instill in our kids that this is the expectation. Our expectation isn't to go far. It's not to go to the Final Four or win more games in school history or any of that stuff. Our expectations is to win every single game. So again, we try to put our kids in the situations to do that. And like I said, the schedule we have, hopefully these adverse times during the year will help us later in the playoff run.
Okay, for our fans of Gallie football, what did you do? I'm making the phone call thing motion right here. So you're like, all right, I got to make a new schedule. You just start using the phones, text. How do you make it happen?
No, to be honest, it kind of happened naturally. When you win 12 games, no one wants to play you anyway. I mean, we've had teams in this county that dropped us that have played us 60 plus years in a row, and they won't play us. So obviously, we had to make our schedule, somehow, some way. So then, we wanted to play tough games, as tough as we can, because we never back down from competition. But at the end of the day, it kind of just happened naturally. We're kind of traveling all over the state to play teams. We're playing a team from Ocala. We're playing a handful of teams from down south. We're playing TFA, who's arguably the best team in the country right now. So again, we kind of had to do it because of our success these last couple of years. But again, in the long run, I think it's really, really going to benefit us, in our playoff run.
What is the best way to describe Gallie football in your eyes? When teams come play you, what is your identity?
I've been saying it since spring. We're self-motivated. Obviously we've done a really good job as a staff getting kids to college. So these kids come in and they want the best out of themselves. So again, I would describe our kids as just self-motivated. If we have 11 guys on the field doing exactly what they're supposed to do, we're going to be a really good football team. Everyone says there's no I in team and all that stuff, but if everyone does their job and everyone does their job at 100%, I think that team can be successful. So again, I think our identity is self-motivated and, we're here for a purpose. I mean, we're here to obviously be great citizens, great students, great, kids, but at the end of the day, great football players as well. So, we're gonna put our best 11 on the field and compete in everything we do. But these guys are self-motivated for sure.
Coach, I had to ask this. You brought up education. How important is it for your players to make sure they go to class and be that student athlete?
Well, it's huge, and like I said, our standard for the the college level, we have to have our kids prepared, to be able to compete at the college level. So when they get to college, they got to understand, study habits and the ability to be in class every single day and be at the front of the classroom and understand what they're doing. Because in the college world, they're going to do that. I mean, we had three kids enroll early, last year. Two of them were 16 years old and enrolling to college, and one of them was starting as a true freshman right now. And so again, the classroom stuff kind of entails, and it kind of branches off the football side of it, because if you're not prepared in the classroom as, not just prepared being smart, but just understand the study habits and expectations and, those little things to get you through, it's going to make it a lot easier for you on the football field when it gets to the college level.
We're here with Chris Sands, Gallie High School. All right, so the schedule, you guys are going to be in camp here for a couple weeks, get ready for the Kickoff Classic. What are you guys doing exactly?
Yeah, so obviously we got to install our playbooks and do all that stuff. The first couple of weeks type of stuff. But we're in the grind in our Kickoff Classic. We play a plantation team out of South Florida, who is ultra talented. We expect them to be elite on both sides of the ball. So we got to prepare ourselves mentally more so than anything. Like obviously it's easy to get hyped for the first game physically, but mentally, how's that going to tail for you when you give up an interception or you fumble the ball or you miss a tackle or whatever that entails. I think our preparation mentally needs to be, very, very high, these next couple of weeks. And that just comes with, preparation in the off season. We do a really good job with our guys in the off season. Our strength conditioning coach is phenomenal. So again, I think our kids are going to be prepared for that week 0, they call it, against Plantation.
You talk about this gauntlet of a schedule that you guys want, which I respect. You like The Rock, just bring it, which I think is pretty cool. Is there a point there in the season where you feel like, hey, we better start clicking by maybe October? Do you kind of do that where you look at the schedule? Hey, this better start working by the time we get close to the playoffs. How do you look at it?
We better be clicking by week 1 because we play one of the best teams in the state in Vero Beach. So we can't say in the middle of the year. Like obviously, if you win your district, you're in the playoffs, and that's the goal, in the high school world. But we saw it last year. We played a defending state championship team in Mainland in the Kickoff Classic, and we did a lot of things to kind of figure out where we were. And people kind of wrote us off after that Kickoff Classic game because we really didn't play well. But again, we were trying to do some things as a staff to try to figure out some things. And then in week 1, we beat Vero Beach, who again is really one of the better teams in the state. So again, we got to figure out by week 1. Obviously, our first goal of the year is to win the district. But again, that week 1 game against Vero Beach will help us, win or lose, because again, they're such a talented team. But again, we got to go into a hostile environment down there, arguably the best place to play in the state of Florida, people say. So we're excited for that opportunity to go down there and compete against a great team.
No, I'm going to correct you. The best place to play is Gallie, right?
During that playoff game, that was the best high school atmosphere I've ever seen. I hope we can get that week in and week out here this coming year. But again, no, we had a great support system, during that playoff run. We hosted every single week in the playoffs, which is huge for our community and our administration. And we were really proud of our guys last year. But again, we can't keep looking back at last year. Obviously, we can, again, use it as motivation, but, we got a great group of guys that are ready to compete this year.
That is Chris Sands. Love talking to that guy. He does a great job with Gallie High School football. Don't forget, Kickoff Classics here in Brevard County are going to start around August 14th, August 15th. It's going to be a lot of fun. This is the Mark Mosley Show podcast, and we are always broadcasting live from the Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Take back control of your life. Call them today, 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorneys. All right, one more conversation here for a Thursday as we're getting ready for the season. We had him on earlier this week. He is the head football coach at Cocoa. That's right, the 3 times in a row state champion, Cocoa Tigers. He's Ryan Schneider. Let's hear from Coach now as he's getting ready for the season. Joining me right now here on the Mark Mosley Show, joining me on the Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios is the head football coach of, yes, the defending state champions for high school. Three times. I have to make sure. I have to make sure 3 times, baby. Ryan Schneider, head coach of Cocoa High School. My man, how you doing today?
Doing excellent, man. I really appreciate you having me.
I tried to you are the defending champs, but do you like to do that? Do you have a T-shirt that says 3 times in a row now? 3-peat? What do we do?
We're trying to get to the point where we're going to say 6-peat, but we're just one day at a time, and keep moving forward.
Did you have a nice off-season summer with the family, friends? Did you do that before we got to this grind?
When you love what you do, there's no such thing. We've been here every day, Monday through Thursday, 9 o'clock till about noon, working out with the kids, just trying to get better. We did a bunch of community service this summer, with the kids. Got our players really involved more in the community, and it's been a great time. I'm really excited about this team. It's a bunch of new guys that people might not know of, but they're going to know these guys, and I'm excited about the direction we're heading.
I asked a lot of coaches here in Brevard this question, especially with camp starting. It's 100 degrees every day. Do you guys go early in the morning after school? How do you try to tackle it?
So we go in the afternoon. We go, we're on the field at 4:30. So by then it cools off a little bit, and we're just smart. The state sets guidelines with the wet bulb, and there's certain things we have to have in the field when it comes to cold tubs and certain ways of worst case scenario, something happens, we have ways to cool kids off quickly. We follow all the guidelines. We follow all the rules. We try to be smart. We tell our coaches, or I tell my coaches all the time to, our kids are tough. Our kids are in shape. Our kids want to work hard, but let's not be stupid. If you want to take their helmets off for a period while we do a walkthrough or while we do certain individual drills, take their helmets off. Let's be smart. Let's treat these young men like they're our children, not like they're just guys, out here playing football. Let's treat our guys right, and we really stress that to, in the program.
What do you want to accomplish here in fall camp with your players and coaching staff to get ready for another season?
We have Bradford, for the Kickoff Classic, and they're a really good team. We played them 2 years ago in the state championship game. They're coming here thinking they're going to beat us, and we have to be ready. We have to be ready to go. So, we have to come together as a team. We have to start executing the plays a little bit better. But, we've been working hard, and, I think we're in a really good spot right now. Are we a championship caliber team right now? No. But I will tell you, over the first week of practice, a week and a half of practice, you can see the trajectory starting to head the right way. You can see us starting to get in a good rhythm and starting to really understand what we're really good at.
You talk about winning 3 straight state championships. What does it take at your level to win a state championship there at Cocoa?
There's a lot of things, man. It comes down to, you're going to need some luck. There's always breaks that happens in games that, if a couple things go different, maybe you don't win a game, maybe you don't win the 4th round, playoff game, maybe you don't win the 3rd round playoff game. So there's always a bit of luck. But I'm a firm believer, if you're a good person, just not on the field, but more importantly in the classroom, at home, in the community. If you're just a good person and you work hard, good things are going to happen for you. And we just stress that. We stress, just be a good person and work hard, do things the right way. It's okay to say please and thank you. It's okay to say yes, sir, no, ma'am. It's okay to be a good person and lead the right way. Be a leader, in our school, be a leader in our community. And when you do those things, good things usually happen for you.
We're here with Ryan Schneider, head football coach at Cocoa. He's getting ready for another season of football starting at the end of this month. And look, Kickoff Classic, what is it, the 15th?
Yeah, not this Friday, next Friday. We're ready to roll. And in the jungle, baby, we'll be ready to go.
What is the identity? Like if space aliens land on this planet and say, what's Cocoa football? What does it mean to you exactly?
I'm going to use the word legacy. It's a legacy. And, each year we talk to the kids about what's your legacy going to be. How are you going to leave this program? Are you going to leave the jersey in a better spot than you found it? And Coach Wilkinson's done an unbelievable job of building Cocoa to what it is. And I was lucky enough to get this job and to keep that tradition going. But, Cocoa is just a legacy program. You go throughout the country. It's like Miami Northwestern, St. Thomas Aquinas. Everyone knows what Cocoa is throughout this country. And it's an honor to be here. But at the same time, there's pressure on that. There's pressure to don't let down the previous, 100 years of guys who played here. This is the 100th year of Cocoa football. And, it's been 100 years of greatness. And we want to keep that tradition going. We want to keep that legacy going.
We're with Ryan Schneider. I was talking about scheduling with different guys here in the county, like Alan Slaughter-Zinski, Tim Walters. Everyone does a great job covering it, so I want to give them some love there. We talked about the scheduling because I know Gallie, Titusville, and you guys were kind of the front runners of this, where you had to get a tougher schedule. Why did you think it was important the last couple of years to create this tougher schedule for you guys?
Yeah, I'm a firm believer. You want to put your kids in adverse situations. You want to put your kids throughout the regular season in situations that they're not going to be successful in, situations that are going to be difficult, situations that, you're playing other great teams that are going to push you to the boundaries. The first year we won our state championship, I think we won that state championship because we went down to St. Thomas and played them. And there are some things they did against us as coaches. We looked at it and said, oh, wow, like this protection and this formation isn't sound. We have to go back and fix some X's and O's. We have to go back and fix some personnel decisions. And if you don't play those teams, if you're playing a bunch of cupcakes that you're running clocking all the time, you're not going to find out what you're good at, what you're bad at. That when you do have to play a Cardinal Mooney or a Berkeley Prep in the 3rd, 4th round, you're ready to go. That what your flaws are, what you're great at, what how you can attack people, and your kids have been in situations before where, that the crowd might be going nuts and it might be a road game that, you have to walk into averse places and have to perform and have to be focused and have to be able to handle. Yeah. So something bad happened. How are we going to handle that? Are we going to fold or are we going to get back up and keep on pushing forward? And that's a big thing.
For all the fans out there, how do you schedule? Is it you and your AD? Do you do this in the spring? How do you try to put this together to play all these teams?
It's more difficult than you would think just because it's hard to get teams to agree to play us. We're a 2A school. We have, in the high school here, I think it's like 975 kids, so we're not a huge program when it comes to size. So a lot of the bigger programs kind of maybe sometimes look down on us because we're not a huge school. So, it's difficult to schedule us, but, it's funny. I feel like this year we've had more in-county teams willing to play us. Maybe they think we're down. Maybe they think, we lost, a really good senior class that Cocoa won't be as good. We'll see. We'll see how the season goes.
You're ready. You're ready.
Oh,
Was that like a WWE, like Hulk Hogan, The Rock type promo? That's what it sounded like, Coach. I like it.
Yeah. No, it's just, it's in the past years, you call people and they say, oh, no, we can't play you this year. Well, this week's not open or this, and all of a sudden, yeah, Coach, we'll be happy to play you. Okay. Yeah, we'll see.
Well, I know you're very proud also of Brevard County, not just Cocoa, but I know you want the whole county. Maybe not when they're playing you personally, but I know you cheer for all these guys here, right, in Brevard County.
Yeah, I mean, when the county is a strong county, it's going to help, our kids. It's actually going to help our kids get to college. If what Coach Sands is doing at Gallie, what Coach Diesel's going to do at Titusville, they're going to have successful seasons that now, college coaches coming to see, our, Champ or, any of our kids, they come to see CJ Hester, they're going to ask me, well, who else should try to go see? I'm going to go see, the old lineman down at Titusville is really good, or the DB at Ugali is really good. Get around and go see, some of these schools. When you have more teams have successful seasons, it helps our kids get recruited.
Tell us about, first off, your coaches. They need to get some love. Let's give it to a minute. The floor is yours.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been blessed at Cocoa to be surrounded by, 18 coaches on my staff who are all, professional, serious coaches. They do a great job from Coach Folson, Coach Minifield, the new defense coordinator, is doing an unbelievable job. Coach Hepper and our new O-line coach has fit right in perfectly, brought some toughness and brought some real grittiness up front. And, Coach Franco does an unbelievable job. Coach Kamika does a great job for us. Coach Spencer, who's the assistant head coach, literally helps me so much just keeping stuff off my desk because I don't have to deal with it. He's, cutting problems off before they even get to me. And that's a huge part of our success is the men and the people around me that have helped our program great. And, it also comes from our administration. Miss Stewart, our principal, does a great job. She supports our program. She supports what we do. And all our administrators and our faculty, it's a really family atmosphere. And, Cocoa is a very special place to be. It's no secret, the last 2 or 3 off seasons, I've had Georgia schools coming after me, Georgia schools and, other high schools from out of state asking me to apply for, jobs or asking me to, would I be interested, coming up there. And, Cocoa's a special place, man. It's a real family. It's a real home. I love it here. I love the community. I love this city. I love this school. I love the people. And, I'm proud to be a Tiger. And, I'm going to hopefully keep this thing going for the next, 40 years and retire Cocoa Tiger and be a happy old man sitting on the beach drinking a beer.
Okay, I'm going to use that clip right there. That was awesome, dude. I know all the Cocoa fans want to hear that. They do. The ultimate compliment I give you to other people, now you don't have to answer this if you don't want, is Cocoa was a great school, ran the football, played defense. You still do that. But I said what you brought to the table as a former quarterback, you gave a hot rod a brand new engine where you said, we're going to throw the ball, we're going to score points. Do you feel that way where you took this offense to the next level?
It's not me. It's a we thing. Like I said, the coaching staff is unbelievable. And I'm surrounded by really good coaches. We have unbelievable players. It was funny, we had a couple new teachers, join the school. And, I had one of the teachers come ask me, what's the secret to your success? And I was like, we have really good players. It's not that difficult. You have really good players that make you look smart. They make you look good. The biggest thing I'm really proud of, though, is, if you look at a lot of the schools in the state, Manatee, Tallahassee, Lincoln, multiple other schools, when head coaches who are Hall of Famers, which Coach Wilkinson is, when those guys move on, usually those schools have a huge dip. Usually those schools dip off and don't have as much success as they have in the past. And we've kept it going. And that's what I'm really proud of. And like I said, though, a lot of that credit, goes to the guys around me. A lot of that credit goes to the men and the people who I work with every day. And, it's a real family. It's a real togetherness. And, that's why we're going to have success. And that's why we're going to keep having success.
Great stuff. That is Ryan Schneider, the head football coach there at Cocoa High School. That was a great conversation. And if you miss any conversations, you can go to markmoseyshow.com. Also follow us on social medias, Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, TikTok, doesn't matter. Mark Mosey Show. But the landing page, markmoseyshow.com. I've heard of him. Good things. So we heard today from Jeff Pannucci at Melbourne, Chris Sands there at Gallie, and right there you heard from Ryan Schneider at Cocoa High School. We'll get more high school football coaches on during the season as well. Thought I'd do a best of over the last 2 weeks or so. We're broadcasting live here on the Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. That'll do it here for a Thursday. Have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow right here on the Mark Mosey Show.